Have you ever opened your banking app, stared at the number on the screen, and felt that quiet drop in your stomach? Not panic, not shock, just that familiar feeling, followed by the thought, I don't even remember what I spent this on. And the most frustrating part is this. You weren't being reckless, you didn't go on a shopping spree, you didn't buy anything crazy or obviously irresponsible, yet somehow the money is gone. Most people blame themselves in that moment. They say things like, I have no discipline, or I'm just bad with money. But here's the truth I want you to hear clearly. You're not overspending because you're careless. You're overspending because your brain is responding to triggers you were never taught to recognize. Today, I want to show you the 3 biggest hidden triggers that quietly control how you spend money. These aren't budgeting mistakes, they're psychological triggers, invisible forces that push you to spend without ever asking for permission. And once you see them, something changes, because you stop fighting yourself and you start understanding yourself. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you won't just know why you overspend. You'll know how to stop it without feeling restricted, guilty, or deprived. Let's start with the first trigger. This one is the most common, and almost everyone experiences it, even if they don't realize it. Emotional relief spending. This usually happens after a long day, or after a stressful conversation, or when you feel overwhelmed, bored, lonely, or mentally exhausted. You don't consciously think, I feel bad, so I'm going to spend money. Instead, the thought sounds much quieter and more reasonable. You tell yourself, I deserve this, or this will make me feel better, or it's not that expensive. And here's the important part. Your brain isn't lying to you. From a biological point of view, spending really can make you feel better, at least for a short moment. When you buy something new, your brain releases dopamine. Dopamine is the chemical linked to pleasure, motivation, and relief. It's the same chemical released when you eat comfort food or scroll social media. So when you're stressed, your brain isn't asking for a product, it's asking for relief. The problem is, your brain doesn't care about your long-term financial goals. It only cares about ending discomfort right now. That's why emotional spending doesn't feel impulsive in the moment. It feels justified. It feels earned. It feels harmless. But here's what makes this trigger dangerous. The relief fades quickly. And when it does, the stress comes back. But now it's mixed with guilt. The not guilt creates more stress. And that stress creates the urge to spend again. So the cycle looks like this. You feel stress, you spend money. You feel brief relief, then guilt shows up. That guilt creates more stress, and that stress pushes you to spend again. Most people try to fix this by cutting spending harder. They create stricter rules, they try to force discipline. But that usually backfires because more restriction creates more emotional pressure, and more emotional pressure leads to more spending. The real solution isn't discipline, it's interruption. You don't need to stop buying things forever. You just need a pause between emotion and action. Sometimes that pause is as simple as asking yourself one question. Not, do I need this, because emotions don't respond to logic. Instead, ask, what am I actually trying to feel right now? Awareness alone weakens the trigger. Now let's move to the second trigger. This one is subtle, but incredibly powerful. Identity spending. Most people don't buy things for pure usefulness. They buy things to reinforce who they think they are or who they want to become. You don't buy a coffee, you buy the feeling of being productive, modern, or successful. You don't buy new clothes just for fabric. You buy confidence, belonging, or respect. You don't upgrade your phone because the old one stopped working. You upgrade because the old one stopped representing who you believe you are. This is called identity-based spending, and it's deeply wired into human psychology. Your brain is constantly asking questions like, who am I? Where do I belong? How do others see me? Spending becomes a shortcut to answering those questions. The problem is, identity spending never ends, because identities change, and the world keeps raising the standard. So you end up chasing a moving target, one purchase at a time. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people never say out loud. A lot of financial stress comes from trying to look like someone you are not yet financially ready to be. And society rewards this behavior. Credit makes it easy, marketing encourages it, social media normalizes it. But internally, it creates tension
because every purchase becomes a quiet negotiation between your current reality and your desired identity. That tension is expensive. The way out isn't rejecting identity, it's redefining it. Instead of asking, what does someone like me buy? Ask, what does someone like me protect? That single shift changes spending behavior dramatically. Now, let's talk about the third trigger. This one is the most dangerous and the least talked about: time-shifted spending. Time-shifted spending happens when you trade future calm for present comfort. It sounds like, I'll deal with it later, or I can afford the monthly payment, or future me will handle it. Psychologically, your brain treats future consequences as less real than present pleasure. This is known as present bias. Your brain heavily discounts future pain.
That's why debt doesn't feel heavy when you sign for it. It feels heavy months or years later. Time-shifted spending disconnects action from consequence. You enjoy now and you pay later, but later always arrives, quietly. And when it doesn't just bring bills. It brings stress, rigidity, and a loss of freedom. You become less flexible, less willing to take risks, less able to rest. Ironically, many people overspend to feel free and end up feeling trapped. The solution here isn't fear, it's visibility. When future consequences become emotionally real, not just abstract numbers, behavior changes naturally. That's why projecting payments isn't enough. You need to connect spending with future emotional cost, not just financial cost. Now here's what really matters. These triggers don't work alone. Emotional stress pushes you towards spending. Identity justifies it. Time shifting hides the consequences. And because none of this feels reckless in the moment, you blame yourself afterward. But self-blame never fixes psychological systems. Understanding does.
So let's talk about how to break the cycle without becoming miserable. First, remove shame from the process. Shame keeps you reactive. Awareness keeps you calm. Second, build friction during emotional moments. Not strict rules, but pauses. Even a short delay, 30 minutes or one day, can break emotional spending loops. Third, anchor your identity to behavior, not objects. People who see themselves as protectors of their future naturally spend differently. And finally, make future consequences emotionally visible. Name them, feel them, don't just calculate them. You don't need extreme budgeting, you need emotional alignment. Here's what I want you to remember. Overspending is not a character flaw, it's a psychological pattern, and patterns can be changed without guilt, without restriction, and without becoming miserable. Once you understand these triggers, money stops feeling like a constant fight. It becomes calmer, quieter, and more intentional. If this helped you see your own behavior more clearly, let me know in the comments. And if you want more content about the psychology behind money decisions, not just tactics, subscribe. Because when you understand your mind, your money finally starts working with you, not against you.